Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Magical thinking in black relationships. Yeah, just to be clear, this is something that many black women do, but I gotta keep it raw. There's a growing number of black men who are doing the same thing. Now, magical thinking, I thought about that term since last week's episode of Insecure, when a character on the show was a psychiatrist character was talking about how black women engage in magical thinking. And then the master teacher BGS did a video where he did a review of that particular episode, and he talked about magical thinking. And sometimes I see stuff, but I don't think about it. But then somebody else will look at it. It was like, oh, because of their fresh perspective, it causes me to think about it, right? And if you really look at black relationships, all this arguing and back and forth we doing, everything, a lot of it is because of magical thinking, right? Now with black women, I'm gonna start with black women, but this ain't gonna be just all what the sisters doing. There's some brothers engaged in some magical thinking too. But with black women, the magical thinking is thinking that they're going to get that Superman. And I've seen this a lot. When I say Superman, that guy who's handsome, that guy who has, making money, who's masculine, sex appeal, 6'4", just a Superman. And people know I'm that bullshit. And all you have to do is do a search on the general term shortage of good black men. And you will see women on national news programs talking about, well, he gotta be 6'5", like professional women. Like, I got all this going on, so he need to have all this and all of that. And it's really magical thinking. When you got too many women, and it's a deeper aspect of it that goes towards women of all races, but in the black community, this is just focused in the black community, looking for that prince. Because that's what it is, that whole Disney fantasy. In fact, like I said, it's not just a black woman thing, but it's really hurting this community. Especially when these women go on national TV and say, well, I ain't finding that guy, because that's what they mean. That guy gotta have everything. And it's funny, when a man isn't that Superman, when a man isn't that Prince Charming, they'll say the man is flawed. And I'm like, flawed? Shoot, that dude, I've yet to see a black man in the modern age walk on water. So it's like no one's perfect. So what's flawed? I mean, I've seen women call some men who were probably average looking but still educated, had some money going on, flawed. I'm like, flawed based on what? Even by the material standards of the Western machine culture, these men are successful. But that's because the women got that magical thinking, like they can get that, they want that top man. And part of magical thinking is to think they can actually get that top man. You have some women who quite frankly are average and got, they don't have any lack of sex appeal. Their personalities are so-so. And they seriously think they're going to get that top man. I mean, you got uneducated women who have like a ton of baggage, emotional and, children's by different daddies, who seriously think they're going to get that guy who doesn't have children himself, who has a big home, who's going to get with them and take care of them. And this isn't something I'm making up. I mean, I'm in different groups on different sites, and you get screenshots of women saying this. And they serious too. And people know what I'm talking about. In a few videos ago, I mentioned that book and movie back in the day, Waiting to Exhale. That's all that was. Because if you really read through there, I'm like, well, damn, how any man gonna pass that? I was like, God damn, shit. I don't even think dude could have a cape. It might not be good enough. Be flying and stuff. Like even like these black Christian sisters. I mean, Jesus himself could come back. And they be like, well, his haircut ain't right. Or he ain't got no swag. But that's magical thinking. See, magical thinking overall is just not dealing with the reality and being pragmatic. Like, this is the reality. Like, yes, you can probably want that guy who's 6'4", speaks 3 languages, working with 10 inches, who's making over 6 figures. You can want that, but realistically, are you the person going to get that? Realistically, only a small percentage of women, and when I say small percentage, you could probably get them in a good basketball arena in this country. Shoot. Truth be told, you might be able to get them in a good high school gym and still have some space left over, which means this few women are going to appeal to a man who has that much stuff. That's magical thing. It's not being pragmatic. It's not being realistic. I mean, you have dating coaches. You've had actual dating coaches. Well, not dating coaches, matchmakers, female matchmakers who have said, you got too many of these black women looking for a guy like over 6 feet or a certain height, certain physical requirements, when it's really not that many. Like the whole 6 feet thing. Only 14% of the male population, regardless of race, is over 6 feet. Only place where the average height of a man is even over 6 feet is Scandinavia. And trust me, with the women they have over there, they sticking with their women. Trust me. Trust me. So, God. They sticking with their women. So, basically, if black women as a whole want, that 6 foot tall man, even though they 5'2" themselves, well, they better get a passport, go over to Scandinavia. Which brings up even a swirling thing. Yeah, and I'm going to go there. Even that swirling thing, that's magical thinking. That is magical thinking. They thinking, oh yeah, some white guy or some Asian guy increasingly is going to solve all their problems. All right? It's magical thinking because I'm thinking to myself, well, if that's the case, how come so many white women aren't fighting for those guys to hold on to them? Half the time they like, hey, take them. Plus, you got a lot of these white women out here cheating on their white mates, white male mates. So that's magical thinking. Now, just to be clear about the interracial part, because I'm about to get into this with the men too. If you meet somebody, you click with them and they just happen to be another race, that's cool. But it's magical thinking to think just because somebody's another race, they automatically going to be, cool with you. Because this gets into the men. I said I had to say this because I see a lot of men doing this. And, many brothers, it's like we don't talk about it as much. Brothers going to places like Brazil and the Dominican Republic. And, even something I've promoted personally is dealing with black women from other cultures, right? But it's still magical thinking to think you would automatically find a compatible mate and that they automatically going to treat you right. That's magical thinking. It's like if I say that to a man or a woman, it's just to expand your options. I mean, that's all you can do. If you got one group, just expand your options, but it still don't mean you're going to find that person, because the thing is, regardless of where you go, you still bringing your issues with you. Now, getting back to the brothers with this, fellas, I know lately, there's this big thing, brothers talking about either getting a white woman or a woman for another country. I get many men who buy my stuff who are in Europe. I'm talking about white men, Europe, Australia, I had one guy sent me, he sent me a private message. He's like, I'm Italian, but you're my Uncle Rom too. I was like, that's cool. They have the same issues. And even when I've talked about, checking out black women from other cultures, I'm finding lately I'm getting a lot of people, a lot of men from Africa, either from Ghana or Nigeria. So I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold up. Y'all ain't supposed to be complaining. See, I'm still learning this too. See, part of it, and I'll just say this real quick for myself. I still have to accept that how women treat me is not going to be the same way women treat other guys. Because I'll just say it straight up. I don't like the term alpha and beta, but I'm definitely select. So, so they're going to treat me different. So, sometimes I'm going to say something and I'm like, well, I have to remember, okay, I'm coming from my point of view. Now, I try to talk in terms of the whole group. And in terms of the whole group, it's magical thinking for a man to think, oh, okay, if I just get this white woman, please. I know a lot of white male players. In fact, I probably know more white male players than I know black male players. I'm talking about men getting multiple women. The only difference between what they say and what they do and what brothers do, brothers might be a little bit more vocal publicly, but they be saying some stuff behind closed doors. Or, they ain't gonna get on like social media and they be like, man, these women are this, these women are that. And you be sitting back like, wow. It's a lot of the same issues. It's magical thinking just because that woman might have a different race or is not an American black woman, she gonna get with you. Or even find you attractive. Now there's some cultural nuances, of course. And in general, the women tend to be more pragmatic, but they checking for looks too. Don't think for a second. They checking for looks. They checking for certain things too. Don't think for a second. I've probably gotten more compliments on my physical appearance from women from Africa. So they ain't overlooking it. And one thing about some women in other cultures, and this is for many brothers to understand. They are actually harder on a man than probably African American women are. I know some guys, they go and they meet these these women and stuff, and they got they real cool. A lot of them seeing you as a meal ticket. But then but then you get the women who they generally feeling you and shit. It ain't about the money or anything. They generally feeling like they click with you. Trust me, they way harder though. There's a lot of shit like if you definitely have to have your shit together with foreign women. You definitely have to. So, if you ain't a brother who got your shit together, don't even think you want to, well, I'm gonna get with this other woman, she gonna be cool. Nah, they ain't. That's magical thinking. That's what I say. You better have your shit together more. Seriously, and I've said that. They just like, nah. They like shit. They be like, they ain't gonna be like, oh, you working with it? Okay. I put it like this. If they see you going in that right direction, you working towards your degree of business, they ain't gonna necessarily wait for you to get there. They'll jump on as long as but they gotta see a certain work ethic. If your ass is trifling, then you can't even go there. I'm just being real. But in all fairness, though, brothers aren't as bad with it. But overall, the magical thinking has to go, because that's the biggest single problem. A lot of people ain't pragmatic about it, and realistic about who they are, what they bring into the table, the type of man or woman they can actually get. And I'm bringing this up because, I know people familiar with these YouTube videos, but I've done many academic panels, I remember sitting on a panel with some PhDs and stuff, and I'm like, dang, yo. Hey, my degrees, but, it wasn't in the same. These people had actually studied relationship, had dissertations on different parts of relationships and everything. Shit. So they were serious, man. But see, the problem is we're not talking about this whole magical thinking. I seriously think if people got realistic about who they are and what they could deal with, who they can actually get, they would, if they want to get something better, just really work to upgrade. That's women and men. And two, they would actually find somebody. Sometimes, I'm gonna tell you what. One thing I found out here: the men and women, despite what we're saying, despite all this stuff and people complaining, they're still regular guys, regular men, regular women who are finding happy relationships. You know, I remember I saw a couple weeks ago. You know, the sister was probably a 5. A little bit of weight on her. The dude, even though he was tall, you know, he let's just say he needed to hit the gym, right? And they were just laughing, man. I couldn't help but smile. They were just happy. But I think the thing was they realistic, because I think I seen them twice. I seen them a little bit ago because they look kind of distinct. I seen them in a comic book store. Just laughing, they were chilling. You know? And I think with people just start, you know, kill the magical thinking, just be realistic about life and who you are. Because I guarantee, like, many men, like I just did a video talking about, you know, 7s are the best type of women. Yeah, there's still some men out there who feel like no matter what, they're going to get that top woman. And that might not be realistic for the particular man. But it might be that more average woman that might be like down for him and is going to do be totally cooperative. And many women, they talking about a shortage of good men, but that's that magical thinking. Because one thing I would do when a woman would say that, I was like, how many male friends you got? All right. And how many would you consider going out with? And you always say like 2 or 3 of them. And I was like, okay, how's there a shortage of men? And you know, the guys will be available and everything. But see, that magical thinking has the woman thinking, oh, I'm going to get Prince Charming. But see, that dude, if they were more realistic, they would be more open to at least finding out what those guys in their midst would have. In fact, the women who do so tend to have more men than they know what to do with. And I met women like that, very down to earth, very pragmatic. They did not have that magical thinking. And they found every single one of them, if you talk to them, they had multiple marriage proposals. They had guys lined up. If the guy they were with decided he wanted to mess up, there was somebody ready to take their place. And these women weren't like dimes. They were very average, but you know what? The thing they had about them, they were very realistic about who they were, who they could get. And so they weren't tripping. So we got to kill that magical thinking on all sides in black relationships. We got to kill it. If people, I guarantee, if people kill that thing, we get out, people be realistic. And I've done a video a while ago about realistic expectations. If people are realistic, I guarantee it's a happier community. Like everybody's saying, well, we need solutions and stuff. Well, that's the first major one. Is be realistic. You know, if you're realistic and you can be comfortable with it, you kill that fantasy in your mind, and you dealing with real life out here, you'll be able to deal with any person. You'll all these women will find out all of a sudden, instead of a shortage of men, there's an abundance. And all of a sudden, if they stop saying, well, I need that guy, he need to be 6'2", they'll find that dude who's 5'9" can satisfy them just as well, because they'll be more open to it. You know, it's like people going through life with some blinders on, and it was like, nah, you remove those blinders, you see a whole lot more. So anyway, right? That's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.